Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let me make sure that everything is straight. Everything is clear. I want to make sure once I come on here, everything is clean and professional. I don't expect everything to be perfect, but I do expect everything to be on point. Let me make sure everything is on point. Just give me 1 second. If you notice, I'm inside my bedroom. That's the reason why it looks like that. Like if you look around, really, like I don't want you to think the room is a mess. That's why I have the green screen. I have the green screen up for when I do my gaming shit, or like if I'm doing meetings and shit like that. But I mean, if I get rid of the green screen, there's nothing behind it but just a door. So yeah. So what we gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna stop this music, and I'm gonna walk y'all through. So today, basically, we doing a part 3 of what we did previously. If you've been following my past 2 videos, what we've been doing is the outline art of cartoon characters. And what I've been doing is just trying to find like a lot of original black cartoons. Now, the main reason why I'm doing that is because there was just this rant I went on before where I was, that kind of touched a nerve with people. If you notice, it's very rare that you will be able to find original black cartoon art that's clear. That was just the point I was trying to make. If you look for black cartoon art, it is very hard to find just a clear cut version of it. Every time you find it, it's never clear. And I kept saying that's just weird. Nobody finds that fucking weird that almost every cartoon you can find a clear-cut picture of the face of the cartoon. But most black cartoons, you cannot find a clear picture of them. It's just so fucking weird. And that's one of the main reasons why I've been just going through trying to find it. Now, don't get it twisted. You'll find remakes. Like there's, dudes on like DeviantArt and little websites like that where they make remakes of these black cartoons. But I'm talking about the original pictures. It's almost as if they've been scrubbed from the internet. It's weird as hell. The only way you can find a clear-cut picture of them is if you actually find in physical copies. Over the internet, you would not find these pictures. It's weird. So I've been finding them, but through deep research. Like if you search any of your favorite cartoons, all the ones that ain't black, SpongeBob, fucking Ed, and Eddie, all these cartoons, all the, the popularized ones, you can find clean cut pictures of them anywhere. Just Google the names, boom, a picture of their clean cut face will pop up. All of these older cartoons of these black characters, even Proud Family, even because Proud Family was popularized, you still can't find a clean cut picture of a face of a character on the show. It's weird. So what we gonna do? We gonna go ahead and jump into this. So basically, as you can see on the screen, I found a clean cut picture of the faces of Fat Albert characters. Now, if you see, Fat Albert is before my generation. As you know, I'm 30 years old, well, 31 to be exact. I'm in my 30s. Fat Albert is before my time. But I know about Fat Albert because the clothing was popularized when I was growing up. When I was growing up, you used to see dudes with Fat Albert shirts, Fat Albert jackets, and I didn't even know who the niggas was. I used to be like, who is these fucking characters? They look familiar, but I don't know who they are. Fat Albert became popularized again because they ended up making a movie remake. So that was how Fat Albert got brought to my generation, because they did a remake and did a movie of Fat Albert, and the movie was played by Kenan Thompson. If you know Kenan Thompson, in the 90s, he was popular because he had a show called Kenan and Kel. So what we're going to be doing today is the same outline art that I showed y'all last time, except today what we're going to be doing, we're going to try to cover as many characters as possible. I don't want to be on here for too long, so I might not do everybody. I might just try to do a few, just so I can show y'all that process of how this is being put together. Let me make sure I'm online on all these sites before I get started. Sometimes, like when you do this streaming shit, you'll fuck around and find out you ain't even online. You're doing all this talking, you ain't even online. So let me make sure I'm online first on all the sites. Let me check Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Trovo. Make sure I'm online on everything, and we will go ahead and get started. Yeah, see, that's the thing with Trovo. It's a lot of strange shit going on that site. Let's go to MySpace since it says I'm live on there. Okay, I'm live there. I'm live on Twitch, live on Facebook. Let me check Facebook just to be sure. Let me mute Facebook so you ain't hearing no echoes. Facebook, we good. Now let's check YouTube. We good on YouTube. We can go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure that I am live. Okay, live on. Yep, YouTube, I am live. So, yep, let's go. Let me mute that. Okay. So now that we're there, let's get started. Like I said, you could either follow me with Adobe Illustrator open, or you could just watch. What I would recommend, though, is you either have Adobe Illustrator open, or I would recommend that just save this video. If you don't get a chance to save this video, if you're busy, you got to come in and out the video, understand you have nothing to worry about. All of my videos are saved through these different platforms. If you look at me through YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, and Facebook. As long as you search J Damage, you will be able to find these videos. These videos are being saved online, just so you can go back and make sure you watch these in detail so you can follow the tutorial the right way. If you do end up getting stuck or you still can't figure out any of the buttons or just the method that I'm teaching, all you have to do is inbox me. I will try to guide you as much as possible for free. But if you want me to work with you one-on-one, then that will cost. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you want to do is open up your project. Like I always say, go ahead and, start a new project once you open Illustrator and create whatever size you're comfortable with. Always create a 5x5 inch size when it comes down to creating this type of art. I'm not creating this is not a project for a customer. If I was working for a customer, that'd be a completely different thing because customers have certain size requirements for a project. Now this project is just a standard 5x5. So what you want to do is drag your picture into Illustrator, then double click the picture, the layer that the picture is on, and then click on template and press OK. Once you have that done, you will have what you see on the screen that I have right now. Once you see this on the screen, then that means you're going in the right direction. So now what you want to do once you have that on the screen, you go ahead and press the plus button on the bottom right hand side of the screen. There should be a plus button. If you hover over it, it says create new layer. Click on that, boom, start you a new layer, and now we're ready to work. So on the left side of the screen, you see two boxes, a open box and a closed box. See the closed box is white. What you want to do is hit the red line under it. Boom. That's going to get rid of that. That means there will be no color inside of your lines. And you see the open box, click on that. And what you'll see is there's already color in that. A lot of times you open Illustrator, there's already going to be color in it. But if you want to change the color or change the outline, what I want you to do is just double click on that open box. Double click on it. A color menu will pop up. If you're watching me from Facebook or any of these other platforms, you won't see these things that I'm talking about. But if you are following me on Illustrator, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Once you double click that, a color menu will pop up. Choose the color that you want your outlines to be, then press OK. Once you have it like that, now we're ready to get started. So just what I want you to do, no. Before I even get into that, what we're doing today, we're not using the graphics tablet or pen tablet. We're only using your mouse. The only reason why I'm showing you guys the method with the mouse, because everybody can't afford the pen tablets and all that. Of course, I have my own tablets and shit, but I know that that's not universal. Everybody does not have these expensive graphics tablets. So what we're using is the pen tablet. Not tablet. We're using the pen tool and the curvature tool in order to make these lines for the character. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click that curvature tool. Understand the pen tool is for the straight lines and the pointy lines. The curvature tool is for all the curvy lines when it comes down to working on a project. Now I could put my own projects on here, but for privacy reasons, I don't want to show my customers projects unless I have their permission. Now, if my customers give me their permission, then, you know, I can start showing y'all my projects that I work on for customers. But sometimes I have customers that have like reputations and shit like that, and they don't want their stuff. They don't want exclusive shit being put out there. Now, probably an old project that's different, but they don't want none of the shit that's being released put out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is a curvy line, the ear. So what we'll do is use the curvature tool. So go ahead, come around just like that. Boom, boom. It's literally just that simple. What you're doing is you're using the curvature tool to wrap around that ear. And once you get to the point of doing that, then you'll understand it. Now, if you, let's say you made this curve and you're not satisfied with the curve, you see these dots right here. These are called anchor points. What you can do with the curvature tool is click on the anchor point, hold it, and then move it around. And you can adjust it to however you want to adjust it. If you can see, I'm moving the tool around just to make sure. Who is that? It says Hang Too Low is now following. Shout out to Hang Too Low. I appreciate you for following me. And if you have any questions, just do not hesitate to ask. I make sure I help you as much as possible. But if you just checking in just to show some love, I also appreciate that too. But let's continue. Matter of fact, before we continue, let me make sure there's no questions. I don't want nobody to feel like I'm ignoring you or trying to play you. It's a Jose A. Perez. I hit my partner. It said I hit partner my first month. Oh, I hit partner my first full month. I'm on Trovo. It's me, Cookie. Oh, yo, yo, shout out to Cookies. Yo, it took me a second. I'm like, Jose Perez? Like, why does that sound familiar? Yo, this is my guy, Cookies. I grew up with this dude. Yo, shout out to Cookies, yo. That tripped me the fuck out. Yo, it said, I got you hosted on Trovo. Yo, shout out to Cookies, man. Yo, I go way back with this dude. When I first moved to Little Mex or whatever, this is one of the first people I ever met when I went to school. Serious shit. A long time ago, when I mean, if you from South Bend, Indiana, then you already know what I'm talking about. When I first moved to Little Mex and I started going to the school at Harrison, no bullshit. The very first day, he probably doesn't even remember this, but the very first day I ever went to Harrison School, I remember they took me in a classroom. I was in this classroom for this teacher named Miss Fuda, and I mind you, once they took me in the classroom, this was way back in the day. I mean, I had my big T-shirt on and shit, you know, because I'm a hood kid. I'm coming straight out the north side at this time. And I never forget how I went inside the class. Cookies probably don't even remember this shit if he's still watching. But I come into class, and I remember I goes to sit down, and this little boy walks up to me that looked like a baby. He walks up to me, he's like, "Hey, you in my seat?" I was like, oh shit. Or I got up and they put me in another seat, and that's legit how I met him. And I remember he was smart. Like, I remember like the teacher was calling out times tables. This nigga was saying this shit like that. I was like, damn. Yeah, but yo, shout out Cookies, man. Me and this dude go way back. You already know we all come from that Little Mex. But yeah, let's continue. Yo, shout out to Cookies. Yo, if you doing good on Trovo, you know, give me the plug, man. I don't get Trovo. Like when I'm on this site, I don't understand it. Like when I'm trying to, you know, figure out like what, you know, how the functions are, I can't really figure out the functions on Trovo. But yeah, if you could lead me in the right direction, bro, just let me know, man. We can talk off camera or whatever. You know, we from the same neighborhood. But yeah, let's continue doing what we's doing. That tripped me out. Cookies. Yeah, that's my guy. All right, so yeah. So what we're gonna do is continue this line work. So basically, I mean, I think I'm trying to remember where I was at. So I was showing y'all the curvature tool when it comes down to doing the outer lines of the character. Right now, we're working on the Fat Albert character. If you notice, most of the lines on this character are circular, right? So what you want to do is grab your curvature tool and you want to hit all those circular lines. Understand, you can hit circular lines with your pen tool, but it shit would take way longer. You know, you want everything to be very simple. As you can see what I'm doing, I'm just going around with the curvature tool. When I'm going around with the curvature tool, that's helping me, curve around these lines. You see that? That's another thing. Like back in the day, a lot of the black characters, a lot of the, a long time ago, like with the cartoons, a lot of the black and brown characters were always like, I would say, what would be the word for that? We would have like weird stereotypical looks. Like we would have real big noses, real big lips, or we would talk in a goofy type of way. Thank God cartoons have changed now. But if you notice, that's the reason why Fat Albert has this type of a look. I think a lot of back then, the people who used to draw these characters, they used to draw them in these ridiculous type of looks. As you see right now, all I'm doing is just all of the curved lines. They were trying to simulate that Fat Albert was a big dude. If that's the appropriate word to use. He was a big guy back then. So they wanted him to look like a big guy. Now don't get it twisted. They used to have these weird looks for, black and brown characters. But especially black characters, they would have these extreme looks, like extreme lips and shit like that. But Fat Albert was supposedly supposed to be a chubby dude. So that's the reason why his looks look little bit more extreme than the other characters. No, because now that I think about it, the other characters look extreme too. The dude, Bucky, teeth was all crazy. So yeah, it was wild. But this show, if I'm not mistaken, was originally put together by Bill Cosby. And we're not going to speak on what that man had going on. But yeah. This idea was good though, because the way that, when they came up with this show, the concept was something positive. They were creating a lot of positive things to talk about. And a lot of times you didn't see positive black characters in this light that wasn't, doing weird stuff. And that was, there was good intentions behind this cartoon when it was created. So I definitely want to give credit for that. But I feel like this cartoon kind of fell in the gulag because, of course, of the original Bill Cosby's reputation just isn't that smooth right now. So that's the main reason why you don't even hear about Fat Albert no more. It's like everything about Bill Cosby just been blacklisted. And he came up with some pretty dope ideas. Like I always thought the concept of Fat Albert was a good idea. I just feel like it just the stuff just got corrupted. Let's just say that with his scandals. But hopefully, he can give it to me. He give it to me. I put it in the right direction. I know what to do with it if he give it to me. Me personally, if I was to continue the Fat Albert legacy, I wouldn't continue it as a cartoon show. I think it would be best to continue it from this point with merch and probably short cartoons, not like long drawn out episodes. I think it would be a dope short story advice line. I think that would be a dope idea for it. Instead of just going straight into, just this whole serious cartoon thing. But yeah, as you can see, okay, so with the teeth, if you notice a long time ago, they used to never put lines in the teeth. I think that had a lot to do with the certain animations. So in order to get those lines, I'm going to show you a shortcut how to get these type of lines where it's curving around like that. You don't even have to use you use the pen tool, then the curvature tool. So what you want to do is make anchor points at all of the sharp parts. So grab your pen tool and just hit them like that. Boom, 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 boom. And now what I want you to do is use the curvature tool and just start bending those. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you get those teeth nice and clear like that. Now I could, add some lines in there and just go rogue and add whatever I want to add in there. But I want to keep it like the original. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that out. Plus his teeth look kind of buck teeth right there. I ain't going to do too much with that. Let's leave it like the original. Let me go through and make sure there's no questions. I want you to feel like I'm ignoring you. Yo, shout out to What's that say? Andre Bull. Yo, shout out to Andre Bull. Shout out to Liddy Chugs. Shout out to D Sims. And shout out to anybody who just shared this. That was Cookies who shared this. Shout out to Cookies. All right, let's continue. I don't see any questions on Twitch. I don't see anything on Trovo. I think that was just Cookies. Okay, cool. Let's continue. All right, so let's continue around his lips. Use that curvature tool to get all those curves. Now understand I'm moving slow. I'm not moving too fast. I don't want to confuse anybody. But once you get the hang of this, trust me, you can move a lot faster. Actually, some people see me working on this and they say already like, damn, Jay, you moving too fast. But I don't want to take all day. I don't want to take up too much of y'all time. I always try to go at least about an hour to an hour and a half. Not too long. Now, if you notice, as I'm wrapping around these, I think that's where people get confused when they watch what I do. Is you'll see me using the curvature tool, and you're like, how are you making the lines bend like that? See, the lines kind of bend on their own, right? So like, I'll show you an example. Like, so when you use the curvature tool, you could just, what I want you to do is always click on the edges of where you want to start. So like, let's say we're doing around his head. This is Dumb Donald, right? And so what I want you to do is always start from the beginning. So this is the beginning line to around his head. This is the beginning line right here. So always click right where that beginning line is. I'm gonna go a little bit past it because I want to overshoot my lines. And what you want to do, you could either choose to make a whole bunch of anchor points, or you could just make a few anchor points because you really just want to make sure you match around the head. So I'm gonna show you. So there's two ways. Like I just said, I feel like I'm repeating myself too much, but I do want y'all to understand what I'm saying. You could either make a bunch of anchor points, like you could just keep making them. Boom, 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 boom. You can make a whole bunch of anchor points until you feel like you have the size as perfect as possible. You could either do it that way. Let me delete that. You could either do it that way, or you can do not a lot of anchor points. You could just do just enough just to get that shape like this. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. A lot of times I do like that to move faster, and then I add anchor points just to fit. So I'll add one right here just to move that in. Boom. I'll add one right in here just to move that in. Boom. It's either way you want to do, just to make sure that you're getting this as close as possible. It doesn't take 1,000 anchor points just to get it, but don't get it twisted. If 1,000 anchor points makes you feel comfortable, you can use 1,000 anchor points. Do whatever you feel like you have to do in order to make this look as good as possible. We're not going to do Dumb Donald, though. We definitely going to do Fat Albert. Now, Fat Albert's hair, if you notice, his hair is just straight black, but then he has the curly edges. So those curly edges, those are going to take some more time, but I have a method to show you that we can get that done way quicker. We can get that done in a way quicker motion. And see, with his ear, what I want you to do is, like I said, a lot of these stuff you don't have to draw out everything. So like his ear is the same on the other side. So what you can do is select the ear, Command C, Command F, and we're gonna drag the ear over. Hold shift when you're dragging it to keep it at the same point. Boom. So now that we have it where we feel like it should be at, what I want you to do is right click what you have selected, right click it, a menu will pop up. Y'all probably can't see this menu, but if you follow me on Illustrator, you will see this. Go down to transform and click on reflect. Once you click on reflect, make sure you click on vertical to flip it to the other side, and then click OK. Boom. Now drag it to wherever you need it to be. Drag it to wherever you need it to be and resize it. Resize it. Make sure you size it to however it makes you feel comfortable. Somebody just sent something. Damn. Sorry, I just missed y'all. I don't know who just sent that. I was too deep into my project. I did not see who just sent something. But yo, shout out to whoever that just was. Damn. I missed you. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't. I want to make sure I acknowledge you. Okay, whoever that was, I'm going to try to acknowledge you at the end of everything. Yeah, that's my apologies, man. Sometimes I'll be so deep in, I don't see what's coming at me or what's going on. But I make sure I'll acknowledge you at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do is work on his hair. Now, like I said, I'm going to show you an easier way to get this hair done before we finish the rest of his details. So when you have like curly edges like this, the best way to do is use your pen tool. What you want to do is use your pen tool. And this is because he has literally like a million curls. Now we don't have to do a million curls. Let's just try to get as many as possible. So just make a whole bunch of anchor points with that pen tool. Let's go through, make a whole bunch of anchor points. Not too many, because you don't want to be doing this all day. Let's just try to get as much as possible. Now the person who originally created this, remember they had animation cells. So there was somebody actually drawing this back in the day. Good thing is we have technology. We do not have to draw it. So once you created all your anchor points with your pen tool, make sure you make the anchor points with the pen tool, not the curvature tool. So once you made them all with the pen tool, now I want you to click the curvature tool and start bending. Boom. Boom. Start bending. If you mess up, Command Z. Start bending. When you start bending like that, that's going to create that afro look. That's going to create that afro look. Let's zoom out just to show you. See, as you can see, let me click off of it. As you can see, now it's creating that afro look on the outer edges. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you are working for a customer, make that shit perfect. Do not half-ass this shit if you're working for a customer. Do not half-ass the situation. Now, this is not a real project for anybody. I'm just showing y'all a tutorial. But if this was a project for a customer, if you do happen to work on a customer for some line art, on whatever project you're working on, do not half-ass your project. Trust me, you do not want to do that. Because you will regret it. You never know what project is going to take off. Okay, now as you can see, we have simulated. Is that a good word to use? Simulated. We have simulated an afro for Fat Albert. So now that we have it like that, let's go ahead and work on the rest of his details. Not much to do now. We have his tongue. I can tell this is a designer who designed this in a very old age. This had to be like in the 70s or 80s. Just the way that these characters are built, because they give me a Scooby-Doo type of vibe. Okay, now let's get the double chin. Boom. And I believe that's it. I don't see any more details on Fat Albert. This is such an old pixelated picture. It's hard to tell what's missing. I feel like those are supposed to be eyelashes right there, but those aren't necessary. Okay. Let's double click that and turn that back onto template mode. Okay, so once you have your project done, what I want you to do is just look at your project, identify it, and see if any lines need to be bigger or smaller. So at the bottom of his lip, let's make that bigger. I think that's good. His eyes may not need to be too thick. Thick eyes sometimes make it looks like the person has black eyes or some shit like that. You don't want to do that. You don't want your character to look like they just got hit in the face. But okay, so I think this is good. Let me make that smaller. Make that the same size as the other ones. Okay. Let me make this bigger. You want to adjust your lines so by the time you get to the point of coloring, everything kind of matches and looks good. Let me check, make sure there's no questions. 3, 4. Make sure there's no questions before we continue. I want to make sure y'all do have this down pat. Okay, I see no new questions. Let's continue. So once you have your project like this to the point where you feel like you need it to be, this is what you have to do. What I want you to do is select the entire project with the selection tool, not the white selection tool. Choose the black selection tool. If you notice, there's 2 selection tools up here. They look like your mouse. They look like your mouse on the screen. There's two on the top left-hand corner of the screen. There's there's a selection tool and then a direct selection tool. The direct selection tool is the white selection tool. Don't use that to select the entire project. Use the black selection tool. Select the entire project. Boom. Once you select the entire thing, you will see the whole thing highlighted red as it is right now. You see how the whole thing is highlighted red. That means you have the whole thing selected. Once the whole thing is selected, what I want you to do is go to the top of the screen and click on Object. If you're following me on Illustrator, you can see what I'm seeing right now. Click on Object, go down to Group. Click on Group. Boom. Now what I want you to do is go back to the top, click on Object, and then go down to Expand. Click on Expand. Boom. Once the Expand menu pops up, just click OK. Boom. Now you'll see the red is now highlighted on the outer edges of the project. Now what I want you to do after that is go down to the right side toolbar. Go to the right side toolbar and go all the way down to the very last one where it looks like two squares intersecting into each other. Click on that and then click on the, once the menu pops up, click on the bottom left-hand corner where it says Divide. Click on Divide. Boom. Once you click on Divide, it's going to look like nothing happened. Do not worry. You didn't do anything wrong. Now what I want you to do is click off your project to where it's no longer highlighted in red. Click off of it. Boom. Now once you clicked off of it, what I want you to do is now I want you to click that white selection tool, which is called the direct selection tool. If you hover your mouse over it, it's called the direct selection tool. It's on the left-hand toolbar. Click on that. Once you click on that, now what we're going to do is get rid of all those access lines. So look around your project. There's a bunch of lines on there from overlapping the lines like I told you to do. Do not worry. Now what I want you to do is start getting rid of all those lines. So what I want you to do is hold Shift and start clicking on all those access lines. As you can see, I'm just clicking on all those access lines. Just click on however many is possible you want to click on. You don't have to click on all of them. Just click on however many is possible. Let's see, I got those. Let's get inside the lips. I'm going to try to knock out as many as possible, but you don't have to click in this many at a time. I just want to show y'all an example of if you want to get this done a lot faster. Okay, so once you have all of those clicked onto, just delete them. Just keep hitting delete until they're all gone. See that? All gone. Zoom into your project and make sure there's no more access lines. You see? Make sure there's no more access lines. I'm trying to look around and see if anything is left. Okay, it looks like I got everything all in one click. I feel like his double chin is kind of off, but don't worry about that. We're not striving for perfection. But if that is an issue, go back, erase that, redraw it, and follow the steps before, you know, group and expand it and divide it. Okay, so now that we're at this point where we feel like we're comfortable with the project, just by the way it looks right now, it looks good. It's time to get coloring. Now, remember, this is outline art, so we're not coloring the whole project. We're only coloring in the blacks that need to be, filled in. So what I want you to do is do the exact same thing. Select the entire project with the selection tool. Boom. The black selection tool, not the white one. Select the entire project, go to the top of the screen, click on Object, and scroll down to Live Paint and click on Make. Boom. Once you click on Make, now your project is ready to be colored. Click off of it. And then what I want you to do is click this thing. It's called a Live Paint Bucket tool. If you look on your left side toolbar, on the very bottom left side, there's a paint bucket tool. If you hover your mouse over it, it says Live Paint Bucket. Click on that. Once you click on that, right under it is a closed box. What I want you to do is double click on that box and choose whatever color you want to choose. In this situation, we'll just be choosing black to fill in our outline art. So once we have your black, if you hover your mouse over the project, as you see, whatever you hover over, it will be highlighted in red. So it's indicating what you're going to be coloring. And it's very simple. All you have to do is just click and it fills in. Boom. See that? Fill in all your blacks like hair, eyebrows, the dots in the eyes, the inside of the mouth, and anything else that needs to be black. Like let's say you wanted a black ear. I doubt you would want to do something like that. But anything you want to, color in. And that's it. Literally, we have done Fat Albert's face. Now Fat Albert's face is filled in. That is literally how you create outline art. The good thing about outline art, you could use this for anything. Let's say you wanted to make a coloring book, you wanted to use this for a logo, you wanted to do outline art of your face or of anything that you want to do. This method that I'm showing you of outline art, this is not only a method you could use for cartoons. Don't get it twisted. This is just a method I'm showing you because if I show you within cartoons, you'll understand how to use this method for other things. That's the main reason why I always say this method is very good for people to learn. Once you learn this type of method, this will lead you into so many other things. Understanding these basic cartoon methods will literally open your world up for design, especially when it comes to Adobe Illustrator. When people use Illustrator, they always get intimidated because they see all these toolbars everywhere and understanding all these functions. The shit I'm showing you right now, like literally the method that I just showed you, you can learn how to do typography. You can learn how to do symbols. You can learn how to do characters, and literally typography, symbols, and characters. Those literally open the world up for damn near anything when it comes down to design. Now, of course, it's going to be a lot harder because in certain projects, you will be using different things. Like, let's say, for example, you wanted to create projects with custom brushes and things of that nature. That is for the advanced stuff. But as of right now, what I just showed you, literally, this is all you need. You don't need any extra equipment or anything of that nature. This will lead you into the right direction once you get started. Once you get started, you could literally start making money right now off this method I just showed you. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this whole thing again, except this time when we do it, I'm going to try to run through it even faster. Let's see which character should we work on next. I like Bill's head because it doesn't seem too difficult to me. I feel like I could run through that really fast. Pause on that. That sounded kind of crazy. But yeah, like let's do Bill next. So remember, if you've been watching for the past, how long have I been on this shit now? I don't even know. If you've been watching for the past amount of time, what I want to do is show you the way we started. Remember, we used the pen tool and the curvature tool. Curvature tool for those curvy lines. See, I'm messing up right now. Right now, I still have the closed box on. Turn that closed box off and turn your line box on, the open box. Click your color in that, and that's how we get started. Let's just keep going around. Boom. Boom. I'm going to move a little bit faster. Let's come around. I want to make sure we get his head the right way. Let me see. Let's get rid of that right quick. Make sure we coming around his head the right way. Yeah, his jaw wasn't that big. Okay, cool. That's cool. Let's bring the line back in. Boom. Let's make that line smaller so we can see what we're doing. Okay, let's come around his ear. That's that curvature tool. Boom, 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 boom. Make sure you're bending your curvature tool the right way. Make sure you're bending that the right way. Let's do the inside of his ear. Boom. He has another line in there. Let's get that line. Almost all of this is curved lines. I feel like the only spiked out line is we'll probably be using for his hair. Right now we just curvature tool and all the way out. Let's get that right there. Boom, 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 boom. And the more you use this program, the faster you'll be when it comes down to making these type of projects. You'll be able to run through these pretty quickly. And trust me, the more quicker you are with knocking these projects out, the better it's going to be when somebody hires you as a designer. Because a lot of times when people hire graphic designers, they want a person that can just jump right on a project and get it knocked out immediately. A lot of times these companies, they have projects that they need done ASAP. And remember to duplicate it, select the whole thing, Command C, Command F, drag it over. I think this eye is smaller on this side, so hold Shift and make that smaller. Boom. His eyebrows is tiny as hell. Look at that. I wonder why the hell they made his eyebrows that goddamn tiny. You know, fun fact is, I don't know if the characters are supposed to be straight up kids or teenagers, because they all seem kind of big to me. Yeah, that shit was before my generation, so you know, I don't know. Let's make that smaller. Boom. Let's get his lips. Like I said, you notice all of the old black characters have those extreme lips. But don't get it twisted. Black people, we do have full lips, you know. That is reality, but not this damn big as these characters used to be. If you notice, sometimes I go rogue and create my own lines. I create my own lines because as the designer, you have to be able to identify what looks good once you get into the project. Remember, if you mess up at any point in time, Command Z. To copy and paste something, that's Command C, Command V. Now, if you want to copy and paste something where it's in the same spot and it's not moved, then it's Command F. Understand those commands. If you do not learn those commands, trust me, you're going to be in trouble. This shit is going to take all day. Make sure you understand these commands. These commands are going to save you so much time. I remember when when I was in college and when I was in Job Corps doing graphic design, they used to always say, learn your commands, but also get yourself used to the menu on the top of the screen. Once you get used to the menu and those commands, that's what's going to get you in the game. I always feel like that's what separates me from other designers is I learned the orthodox way and the unorthodox way. I learned design from street design and I learned design from college design. So that's how I know so many different methods of creating things, corporate design all the way to urban design. It's best to always know all of these things, especially if you're not a person of color. If you're not a person of color and you plan on doing urban design, just try to do a lot of researching and understand what the community likes that you are trying to sell to. Me personally, I probably would prefer for somebody not within the community to be selling to the community. But if you do find yourself a part of the community and you are selling to them, understand that you have to understand the optics of what people like and ways to create things that look good and aren't disrespectful to that culture. So you want to learn how to create these certain type of things to where they don't look ridiculous. That was an issue that was going on with cartoons, way before my generation, probably way before most people's generation. But when Bugs Bunny and all of those early cartoons was around, they were making designs that were very disrespectful to these cultures, whether that be black, Hispanic, Asian, and things of that nature, where they had these ridiculous looks. But nowadays, we have corrected that with the technology and with the people creating the designs. So as you see, we made his afro. And I believe his afro is a little bit more visible in the front parts too, but not on this part. So boom, 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 boom. Just made anchor points with that pen tool. Made anchor points with that pen tool. And now we're using the curvature tool to clean them up. I think I might keep him with a straight hairline. But no, that straight hairline would be too much like today's look. And we want him to stay with his original old school 1980s, 1970s look. So let's not make his hairline too sharp. Nowadays, we got them sharp hairlines. We do not mess with that curly, Afrocentric type of look. Even though, believe it or not, that is the natural look of a black man, or black or Spanish man. We didn't have like the super straight hairlines back in the day. That's really like a newer age thing. So let's go ahead and add all those anchor points, and then let's bend those anchor points just so we can give that curly look all around. You want that curly afro look. Back in the 70s, some of y'all don't know this, but afros was a thing back then. It was a thing. Everybody was rocking damn afros. Even white people, Spanish people, everybody had afros back in the day. Do not let these people lie to you. Everybody had afros back in the day. That was a real big thing. Even the cartoon characters, as you can see throughout the cartoon characters, they all had afros back then. Everything. That was the culture in the 70s and early 80s. You know, that was still the thing, you know, those big afros. Nowadays, it's like, that's not really a thing within the men. You may still see, you know, black women and Hispanic women, especially like Afro-Hispanic women, still rocking the afros. But that was a big thing back in the day to all my young people who may see this video. So once we get the project and the lines to where we want them to be, remember, we doing the same thing as last time. Go to the top, object, group, object, expand, click OK on the menu, open your Pathfinder, click divide. Now what we do is go and use the white selection tool, get rid of all those excess lines. So really the afro doesn't really matter because this will be all black, but I'm gonna get rid of them just to show y'all. Get rid of all these excess lines. Instead of me holding shift and getting rid of them, I'm gonna show you how to get rid of them. Just clicking them, getting rid of them. Click, delete. Just click, delete. Zoom in if you have to. Zoom in to make sure you're hitting those lines as perfect as possible. I can't remember if this was intersecting. Matter of fact, let's get rid of that. Yep. Just so we can simulate the lips the right way. Get rid of all those excess lines. Just so he can have his original look. Now this is really a preference thing. If you don't want him to have his original look and you want him to have a newer, look that is of this age, then you can do it like that. But I want him to have his original look. So what we're gonna do is select that entire thing. Boom. Now what you want to do is click object and remember live paint. Boom. Live paint that. Now make sure your line tool is X'd out. Make sure your color tool is in. Make sure your color is in. Click on the live paint tool. Remember, when your live paint is correct, when you hover over it, you'll see the red outline. The red highlights. Click on that and start filling in those blacks. Fill in those blacks. Boom, 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 boom. Whatever black needs to be filled in, fill it in, and boom. Now you got it. What was his name again? Bill. Now we got Bill. We got Fat Albert and Bill. Let me see how much time I ran. If there's been too much time, I'm going to go ahead and jump off. I just wanted to make sure I showed y'all that. Oh, we only got 48 minutes. Okay, I'll do one more. Maybe I won't do no talking when I do this. Maybe I'll do my serial killer vibe and just stay quiet this whole goddamn time. But nah, I ain't going to do y'all like that. Okay, so now we're going to do one more. We're going to do Rudy. I already had Rudy in mind in the first place. Let's do Rudy. He's a little bit more difficult than Fat Albert and Bill. Why? I don't know why I can't remember Bill's damn name. So Fat Albert and Bill was a little bit more simpler. Let's get into Rudy. Let's go ahead and get started on Rudy. So Rudy, let's go ahead and get the lips first. So yeah, I left the color in. X out that color. Bring your lines back in. Let's make that line a lot thinner so we can see what we're doing. Let's get it like that. Click off of it. Come back around. Boom, boom. At any time, if you feel confused off anything I'm doing, Do not hesitate to ask. I will try to navigate you as perfect as possible. But this is not as hard as it seems. It just seems hard because us people who know how to do this, we just make it seem hard because we move so fast. And a lot of times without talking or teaching people how to do it. And I've realized something. The reason why a lot of times people don't want to teach this to people, because it's like they're intimidated. They feel like if other people know how to do what I'm doing, they're going to take my money. They're going to take my customers. Like, I don't know. Like, I always thought that was weird. Like, I remember when I first started, I used to ask, I used to see other designers. I used to ask them, like, yo, like, how do you do that shit? And they would never want to tell me. It was weird. It's crazy because I never came in the game trying to get nobody's customers or no shit like that. That's corny to me. If you're good at what you do, people are going to come to you anyway. It doesn't matter. If people like you, they like the things you do, they're gonna fuck with you. You know, so you're going to have those customers that come and shop with you just for convenience. And then you're going to have those customers that just shop with you just because they just like what you do. Yo, Rudy is a perfect example of just the black character being just ridiculous. Like, yo, Rudy's lips is just ridiculous, yo. Not even like realistic. Like, black people's lips is not that goddamn big. Come on, son. This shit look crazy. They got Rudy looking like a straight up racist shit. And that's what I love about just the progression of people and the progression of the things that we have. But then I don't like when it's too much, though. Like when it's feels like pandering, when it's too much. I don't like that either. A lot of people, they complain about Disney doing that. Like just doing too much to just try to be quote unquote woke. I don't really like that woke word either because that seems kind of offensive. But like, you know, you want to make sure when you're creating a cartoon that is of a culture that you're not a part of, make sure you're creating things. I feel like I'm always saying this. Make sure you're creating things that are respectful to that culture. Do not make the person look extremely ridiculous. That's disrespectful. Make sure the person looks exactly the way that the culture is proud of. You want them to look at your character and feel proud of that character. You want them to be like, you know, this person wasn't trying to disrespect my culture when they created this. You know, trust me, a long time ago, it wasn't pretty for us black people. They used to make some wild looking characters of us, man. For real. Especially in anime. Oh my God, yo. That's something that I feel like is very underrated. That's not spoken about. Yo, the black characters in anime? Yo. Yo, who was in the studio? Like, who was designing this shit, yo? Yo, they was just going crazy on us, yo. And I guess I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe a lot of them just never really knew what black people looked like, or they never knew that black people had an issue with the way that a lot of those characters looked. Because sometimes I feel like maybe they weren't trying to be disrespectful. Maybe they just really didn't know. But they just assuming us black people look like that. I think in a lot of those other countries, they don't really see black people like that. So then maybe they may have assumed. But that's just me being nice and giving them the benefit of the doubt. All right, dragging this over. Let's make that smaller. Bend that a little bit. And boom. Let's try to get that as close as possible. This is a very weird look for him too. Matter of fact, let me use my anchor points in order to get that afro coming through there. Boom, boom, boom. But let's round that out. Boom, boom. They're simulating his afro is coming out of his what is this hat called? I always call it a Kangol hat. But yeah, we're simulating his afro coming out of that hat. As you can see, I'm moving in a very unorthodox motion. I'm just filling in things as I go. I'm not doing nothing organized. And when it comes to art, you don't have to do this shit organized. That's another thing. Like, do what makes you comfortable. When you're working on this type of shit, you know, do what makes you feel comfortable, whether that be, you know, you just operating in a very unorthodox fashion. You want to start with just only working on the eyes and stuff like that. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Because when it comes down to this art thing, do not do this to where you feel stressed out. You feel like something has to always be extremely perfect. Do what makes you feel comfortable. That's how a lot of people lose in this type of shit, and they don't want to do it anymore. Is because it stops being fun. When it stops being fun, then it starts feeling like work. It never feels like work to me because I've become so good at it that it just doesn't even bother me anymore. I mean, shit, it beats working at a job any day to me. Just sitting on a computer, just making a fucking, you know, some lines. It doesn't bother me. So, okay, so let's go ahead and keep coming around his head. We want to make sure his hat is on point. This is a very old school hat. Some of y'all may watch this video and be like, what is that weird hat on his head? A long time ago, these hats was very popular in those times. This is a very old school show. And these type of hats were worn by a lot of people. Not only black people, just a lot of people in general. These type of hats were very popular. Nowadays, you don't even really see people rocking Kangol hats and shit like that no more. That's just not a thing anymore. It's crazy that something that could be so popular and so normal at some point in time could just disappear. Like people ain't even wearing that shit no more. It's crazy. All right, let's come around on that ear. Let's have that nice and rounded. And I see it has his lobe. Let's make that a little bit more curved. Use that pen tool, curve that out. Boom. Just come around with the insides of the ear. Every artist makes the inside of an ear different. It's crazy. I've always peeped that. They always make the inside of the ear different. Okay, so let's come around with that fro. His fro doesn't seem that curly, but I'm gonna make it curly. Let's make some big curls on that afro. Let's create my own shit on this one. Boom. Let's tighten that up. Boom. Okay. Simulate the afro. And we're not making a neck for him because we just wanted to be his head. But I will make his afro. Use that pen tool. Just make another afro behind him. Boom. 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 As you can see, that pen tool is making those edges, those sharp edges like that. Then what you do is take the curvature tool and round them out. Just pull right in the middle of the line. That's how you make those round edges like that. Boom. So now you can either, like I said, once you get to this point where you feel like you've done all the details within the character, you could either choose to either make these outer edges bigger or smaller. It's really up to your preference. Me personally, I like to make them thicker, some of them thicker and some of them thinner, because I feel like it just makes the project, it gives the project that pop when a person sees it. It just looks like it's detailed in a better way. It's not detailed in a cheap way. You always want to make your outer edges a little bit thicker. That is the original tradition of how cartoons were created. It was always thicker lines. Whenever you go all the way back to SpongeBob, with a lot of those designers way back then. Not only SpongeBob, but you know, Bugs Bunny, a lot of the Looney Tunes characters, a lot of them functioned off a lot of thicker lines. A lot of the cartoonist was drawing in that type of manner. So let's I think that might be good. This line looks weird to me. Let me fix that, clean that up a little bit. Take that up to 50. I mean 0.5, not 50. 0.5 that out. Boom. Damn near 0.5. All of this hat. 0.5 on the hat. 0.5. That's remind me of some drug days. 0.5s. Boom. Actually, nah. Leave these thin. Probably 0.5 these edges. Nope. Let's leave it like that. We probably could ride out with that. But yeah, once we have him to the point, we have the edges at the points that we want it to be. Like I've said before in the past two characters, let's go back, select the entire thing, black selection tool, click on object, group, object, expand, hit OK, click on your pathfinder, divide, and what do we always do? Get rid of all the access lines. Now, let's go ahead and click on these access lines, get rid of that shit. Okay, matter of fact, I see something happening, and I feel like this is a good thing to teach people, just in case you have this issue. Okay, so if you click on this, for some reason, we overlap this line, but for some reason, it's not letting me click on this outer line. If you notice, somehow it got intersected, it got merged together, but do not worry about that. If that happens to you, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes the program just does that. I don't even have an explanation for that. But the way that you do it is what I want you to do is click your white selection tool, click on that line. If you notice, once you click on that line, it selects the entire thing. Do not worry. Click on your curvature tool and just delete the anchor points that is within that area. So boom, delete, boom, delete, boom, delete, boom, delete, boom. We've gotten rid of it. So we also wanted to get rid of that too, to this extra line. Delete, line, delete, anchor point, delete. Let's tighten that up. See if there's anything else to tighten up. Tighten that up in any type of way you want to do it. And boom, that's literally how you fix that. Let's see if we have that issue on the other side. Because right now, all we're supposed to do is click white selection tool, delete. That simple. See, this happened on this side too. So it may have been the way that I was organizing that. But do not worry about it. It's easily fixable. Just in case this happens to you. I'm actually glad this happened. Because sometimes this happens to people and they don't know what to do. They're like, how did this happen when I did this the right way? You have nothing to worry about. Just go ahead, use that curvature tool and delete those anchor points. And that will get you right in the game and make sure everything is fixed up. That's why it's good to keep a person. If you have somebody who is showing you this method, you want to make sure that the person who's showing you this method is also showing you how to correct things just in case you mess up. Now, let me check real quick. Make sure see if anybody asked any questions. Say, you got people on Trovo talking. Yo, shout out to all the people on Trovo. Say, I dropped you a rocket and put you on front page of Trovo. Whoa, how? How did you do that? That's what's up. So you good. My bad, followed on Twitch. Yo, shout out to Cookies, man. Shout out to Cookies for putting me on game. Yo, shout out to Cookies. Yo, shout out my brother. I see my brother Jaden jumping on here. Trovo, let me check on Trovo. It said Artists of Freedom. Yo, shout out to Artists of Freedom who just came in. Yo, shout out to everybody that's coming. Shout out to Beezy. It said, hi, are you tracing or drawing? I'm just tracing over the outlines of the of this project. Now, the reason why that I teach people tutorials with tracing over things is only because a lot of times when you first start learning Adobe Illustrator, what you want to do is start tracing projects because you want to get yourself used to using these tools. Anytime you get to the point of using Adobe Illustrator, make sure that you get yourself used to the tools. If you do not get yourself used to these tools, you will have a hard time when it comes down to working on certain projects. You may have a project where somebody may want a symbol design. They may want a typography design, and they want original typography. And a lot of times, some of these looks that I'm showing you, you cannot achieve when you're using your when you're using your graphics tablet. So your graphics tablet, you're actually physically drawing out the lines and everything that you're doing on there. Now, a lot of times when you use this method that I'm showing right now, which is the the pen tool and the curvature tool. When you're using these tools are going to going to help you achieve those extremely straight lines that you see on a lot of these cartoons. If you even look at most of the cartoons of today, like Adventure Time and a lot of the newer cartoon styles, they use this method that I'm showing you, which is the pen tool and the curvature tool. Now understand, if you are a designer, anybody that's watching this, if you are a designer moving forward, you don't want to be a person that is only solely relying on this method that I'm using, or solely relying on the method of using a graphics tablet for everything, because you never know what type of customer you're going to get. You never know. You never know what type of customer you're going to get. And you never know what may be the requirements when it comes to having a customer. Like I'm just telling you, I know this from doing this for 9 years. You never know what type of customer you're going to use. So I don't want anybody to get confused and think that I'm just tracing cartoons just to show y'all me tracing cartoons. I'm trying to show y'all these different methods, and following these different methods will help you become better as a designer. Tracing is extremely good when it comes down to Adobe Illustrator, because it will lead you in the right direction. Now, if you get a customer and they ask you for an original design, an original character, listen to me very closely. Do not trace over anything that you find on the internet. Do not do that. What you want to do is create your own independent design that you created. You can actually get in trouble for that, and that could turn into some copyright infringement shit. Do not get involved in that. What I want you to do is create your own design and then trace over it this exact same method that I'm showing you right now. The only reason why I'm showing you guys this method over is only because, I mean, if you've been watching this video, you already know I was saying that a lot of these original black cartoons, you can never find clear pictures of them, and that was the reason why I personally chose to trace over these specifically. But don't get it twisted. You know, I'd really be out here drawing and, you know, doing my thing. But yes, please, guys, if you do plan on following tutorials or anything of that nature, or you just want to get yourself a lot better at Adobe Illustrator, please start tracing over designs and getting yourself used to using these tools like the pen tool and the curvature tool. I'm telling you, this will get you in the game. I'm telling you this because it took me years to figure this out. I was scrubbing all over the internet trying to figure out, how is people learning how to do this? How is people learning how to use this pen tool and this curvature tool? Like, it just took me forever to figure out how they were using it. But I figured out this was the method that they're using. And the sad thing is, all over the internet, they won't even tell you this. For real, if you go on YouTube and you watch most tutorials and you watch most people that are doing a lot of these things, for some reason, they won't actually show you how they figured out how to use this stuff. It's weird because there's this game on the internet being played of hide the information. Hide the information from people. They never want to actually fully tell you how they got so good. And a lot of that is just a game of figuring out ways to extract money from people. But I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff that I'm showing you, like a lot of this stuff comes from people practicing tracing over things. So I hope I answered your question. Shout out to Beezy for asking that question. I want to make sure I properly answer that for people who are watching. Yo, shout out Cookies for putting me on the front page. I don't know what type of plugs Cookie got, but shout out to Cookies for doing that, man. Jesus Christ. See, that is the power of always having good relationships with people and treating people with respect. So yeah, back to the project. Once you get to this point in the project, what I want you to do is go ahead and start coloring on all the blacks. Remember, we're following the original way that I said to do it. So what you want to do is select the entire project. Boom. Select the entire project. Now what I want you to do is go to the top of the screen and then click on Object, scroll down to Live Paint, and click on Make. Boom. Once you click on Make, because remember, this is outline art. We're not fully coloring it in. We're only coloring in all the black areas. So what we're going to do is go in, and if you don't remember where all the black areas, just bring back in the original image. And let's start coloring them in. So let's color in the eyes. Boom. Let's get that hair. His mouth isn't open, so we don't have to do the inside of his mouth. Right now, we're coloring in all of the black parts, and boom, just like that, we are done. So let me take Rudy. Let's take Rudy to the top. Let's take Rudy to the top with the other characters. And we are done. We are done. So we got Fat Albert, Bill, and Rudy. This is the way that you do outline art. Once you get your outline art to this point where you feel like you're comfortable with it, if you noticed on each one, Fat Albert, I use very thick lines on him. If you look at Bill, I use some thick lines and some thin lines on Bill. And if you look at Rudy, I used a lot more thin lines on Rudy. Now, that's all really a preference thing. Once you get to the point of actually putting these projects together, it's all a preference thing. Whether you want to make the lines thick, it's whatever art style you would like to go to. But I do want to make sure I show y'all these properly and understand, like I told you, if you do work on a project that is independent. I'm so glad he asked that. If you do work on a project that's similar, any type of project that you're working on, make sure that you are using original art. Do not be using other people's art or other people's art styles or however the hell that goes. Make sure that you create your own art when it comes to working with customers and you get them done correctly. But when you are in the process, like what I'm showing y'all, when you're in the process of learning Illustrator and learning these programs, what I want you to do is get yourself used to these different tools. And one of the best ways to get used to using these different tools on Adobe Illustrator is by tracing over things you can find, whether that be your own images online, or just any type of things. Make sure you're tracing over things and getting yourself used to them. Because if you do not get yourself used to these things, it's going to take you forever to make projects. Forever. Get yourself used to tracing over things and get yourself used to learning these commands on your keyboard. Once you master the commands on the keyboard and once you master using these different tools in Adobe Illustrator, this is going to open up a whole different world of design for you, whether you be as good as me or way past my level and what I'm at. So that's it for this video. I wanted to say I appreciate everybody who checked out this video. If you watching this live, or if you're just watching this video back to follow the tutorial, I appreciate you so much for checking me out. Yo, shout out to Cookies for coming in, giving me the plug and showing me so much love. I appreciate that. This is a guy I've been knowing for a very long time, since I was a kid. Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody who checked in and showed love. Shout out to everybody on Trovo. Man, I appreciate everybody on Trovo. It's been taking me a very long time to get anybody to bite on Trovo. Shout out to everybody on TikTok. I'm literally ranking in thousands of people coming in and out. I appreciate everybody on TikTok. Shout out to Twitch. A lot of my family members follow me on Twitch. I appreciate you. And shout out to Facebook for all the people who know me personally, who check in and show me love. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, and I will be back on here tonight at 7 p.m. and we can we can do this again. And I think I might show y'all the outline art one more time before I start showing y'all the more advanced things. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I love y'all. I'm out. Goodbye. Let's get the music started and let's start that ending. I feel good about what I showed y'all today. I feel good about this. All right.